creation, Crybaby. Where would the show be without him? Yes,
Hi,
go ahead.
Can you hear me?
You called to say you got converted, right?
I called to talk about dinosaurs.
Okay,
Can you hear me all right?
I can hear you. I'm sorry, I'm coughing and hiccuping and everything else tonight.
Okay, how have you been?
I have been getting old. It ain't for sissies, that's for sure.
Me too.
Yeah.
Kent, I'd like to talk about the Morrison Formation, where the so-called dinosaur graveyard is.
Well,
I'm sure.
there are thousands of dinosaur graveyards around the world. There is a big one there. You're right, but there are
Right,
thousands more.
right.
Okay.
So let me briefly give this perspective from geology about the Morrison Formation. So it covers about 1.5 million square miles in the western United States, dates about 156 to 146 million years from the upper Jurassic. And of course, it's known for its dinosaur fossils. And we know it formed during a mountain building event, and the deposits in the Morrison Formation were carried from these highlands of these mountains by streams and rivers and deposited in swampy lowlands, river channels, lakes, and floodplains. And these became the Morrison Formation. And the reason we know this is because of the fossils that are found with the dinosaurs. We find much of the fossils are the vegetation is from riparian environments such as rivers and streams and that kind of thing.
Hang on, slow down.
Yeah, go ahead.
You're covering way too many points that need to be addressed, okay? I agree, there is a formation which has huge deposits of dinosaur bones. And you're claiming that it's 156 million years old. You do not know any such thing. You can believe that if you wish, and that might be what you were taught, and you might have swallowed the Kool-Aid, okay? But you don't know that at the age of those formations, because it has different kinds of animals with it. You said it yourself, we go back and replay the tape. You know the age because it contains animals of this certain age group or something.
No, we know the age because of the radiometric dating from the vast amount of ash layers that we have, because it was a mountain building event. It was called the Nevadan orogeny. And so we had a lot of volcanism happening. Yeah, go ahead.
Right. We covered that last week. Radiometric dating of ash flows or lava flows or igneous rock is fatally flawed for lots of reasons. And I covered that last week. You're talking about potassium argon, rubidium strontium, lead-208, lead-206. Of course, you can't carbon date something like that. But you've been taught this, and you've been maybe educated in it even, and you should not have believed that. All radiometric dating has some very obvious assumptions. You don't know how much was in it when it started. You don't know that it's always decayed at the same rate. We know things that do affect the decay rate. I covered that last week. The solar sunspot cycle, the radiation from the sun changes during the sunspot cycle, which affects their decay rate of things down here. And you don't know that it's never been contaminated. You can't possibly know those things.
We have so many dates that are consistent from this area, and it just happens that those dates are where the dinosaurs are found. So it would be a huge coincidence that we could date something from 150 million years ago, go to that layer and find dinosaurs in that location. I just want to add one more. Okay, can I add one more thing real quick, Kent?
Before I lose my train of thought,
sure.
I'll let you keep talking, okay?
Sure.
I think if you went to a Muslim country, you would find all the articles that are written in peer-reviewed journals will say Muhammad was a great prophet. You don't dare write anything else. So everybody agrees he was a great prophet. Therefore, he's a great prophet in their mind. I think you'll find you don't get peer-reviewed.
That's a religious controlled environment.
Correct, and so is evolution. It's a religion that people believe in, and you won't get anything published. If you went and dated something in the Morrison Formation and it came back other than the accepted dates, it would not get published. They would say, I'm sorry, this is incorrect. We won't publish it. You would be banned from the channel.
You'd have to show me that. You'd have to show me that data where somebody has made those measurements and dated that material, and come up with different dates. But I wanted to add that we know that these dinosaurs died along rivers and floodplains because we also find frogs, salamanders, lizards, crocodiles, turtles, crayfish, and different animals like that also are found in river environments. And I want to know from your perspective, from the creationist perspective, or from a flood perspective, how the Morrison Formation was formed with all the dinosaur fossils.
Okay, there's been a lot of research by creationists on the Morrison Formation, many published articles in ICR.org and answersingenesis.org. They've done extensive research on that and explained it. The fact that it's quite obvious, as you said, these dinosaurs died in a flood. Now, whether it's a local flood or a worldwide flood, you can't tell. All we know is they died in a flood. That would fit perfectly with the biblical view. And if the pre-flood world had a canopy of ice over the top, like I believe, some creationists don't. Okay, I believe strongly there was a few inch thick layer of crystalline clear ice that would probably enhance the radio frequencies from the stars into music, like living inside of a stereo. You could hear the music of the stars, just a wild theory. But that would increase air pressure, block UV light, and prevent the formation of most of the radioactive elements that they're measuring by. So if the animals lived in a time where they had very little radioactive elements, radioactive potassium, I forget which of the 3 different varieties of potassium is radioactive, a very tiny amount. What if there was almost none when they were alive? And so we dig them up and try to potassium date them. By today's standard, you have a rubber ruler. You cannot possibly know how much was in them when they lived. You don't know what it was like 6,000 years ago.
Regardless of the radiometric dating, if it was a global flood, you wouldn't find that the dinosaurs were found with all these other animals that were found along rivers. You would find marine organisms mixed in there with them. You would find mammal fossils mixed in there with them. Things that.
Okay, first of all, I don't know that we don't find those things. Okay, you may be assuming that they don't. If they do find it, they wouldn't get published. That's for sure, because that goes against the theory. Just like the giant human skeletons that quietly disappear because they look at what's the one in Afghanistan that the SWAT team went in there and finally took out, the Kandahar giant. Okay, Google that one. Anyway, so stuff like that, if it goes against the religion of evolution, it just simply doesn't get published in peer-reviewed journals. And they died in. You think frogs can't live in an environment with water? And
well,
salamanders?
I'm talking about freshwater environment. So it's a floodplain or a river environment. And so these dinosaurs were probably killed by flash floods, or they died and were quickly buried by river sediments, because it was adjacent to a mountain range where you had very large rivers coming off with a lot of sediment coming off of them. So there's a perfectly valid geological explanation for the Morrison Formation, because it all occurred in this place called the Morrison Basin, a huge area, by the way. But that's all I really have to say.
Well, hold it.
Go ahead.
You have a couple of false assumptions that you're building on. I think the entire planet was fresh water. During the flood, it was all fresh water. The oceans have gradually become saltier in the last 4,500 years. You can Google the salinity increase in the ocean. A lot of people are concerned about that. Today, the oceans are 3.6% salt. I believe they were all fresh water. Oh, fresh water. No, we didn't bring water on the ark for the animals.
I'm not sure you have evidence that there was all fresh water, 5,000 years ago.
You just gave some. If dinosaurs are found in this freshwater environment and with frogs and salamanders.
Yeah, a river environment where you would expect fresh water.
No, not a river.
Were you saying there's no oceans back 5,000 years ago?
Listen to me. You said it's a river environment. If the whole world was fresh water, then the whole ocean is fresh water, and it would give the same effect of burying these animals, frogs, salamanders, everything. And the reason there maybe aren't mammals hanging out with dinosaurs is because if they were aquatic animals like frogs and salamanders, etc., then of course, I bet if there was a flash flood today that killed everybody in the world, you wouldn't find too many humans hanging out with pigs, for instance, okay? Maybe one or two on a rare occasion, but it doesn't prove they don't live together. They just don't hang out with pigs. That's all. Or lions. So the fact that they're buried in different areas or different, not collected together, bones aren't mingled, does not prove they didn't live together. Nobody has ever found human and chicken footprints in the same rock strata. Never been found. That proves humans and chickens did not live at the same time.
But the way I understand, the way the creationists view this area, though, the Morrison Formation, that it's just a random huge jumble of dinosaur bones that were killed during one event. And it was over a 10 million year period is the point, because we do
Oh,
have those dates. And unless, you know, some organization has made a systematic study of the dating and found their own dates and proved them, then, you know, we do need to stick with the science of the dating for that area. But I'll let you go, Kent, and I
okay.
appreciate it. And thank you. And we'll talk in the future. Take
All right.
care.
Thank you. Thank you. All
Bye.
right. And we're praying for you, by the way. We want to get you converted.
Thank you.
Yes.